I'm running away from this pain. I'm trying to find a new way where the sun's shining down on my face. I'm running.
This is the 5 Next Steps show with Daniel Duwa.
You're in a taxi.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Daniel Duwa and welcome back to the show. Have you ever woken up in the morning and you try to do something for the first time, the second time, the third time, it doesn't work out? Now, again, I'd recorded this audio for, this is the second time I'm doing it and probably the third time I'm going to be doing it. The first time, equipment failure, or I just didn't set it properly, and that will happen a lot of time. But we're not going to be talking about failure today. I'm going to be talking about something that's really, really important, but most times we do not put prominence to it. We don't take it as serious or as important as it is. And this is social capital. Now, what is social capital? Again, there are many ways of defining it, but in my own way, social capital is creating networks and relationships and corporations and finding people in your community, in your city, in your village, whatever it is you are, finding people and forming a society and community that in essence what it is if I pick my phone and call you and you can pick up and you're excited to engage and help and be part of the conversation. If I bring a smile to your face by just me calling, that is an element of social capital. So let me just jump into it and tell you how your day-to-day, either in business, in leadership, or in private life, in family life, as we call it, how does this work, for example? So let's talk about jobs. Jobs. There are people who tell you there are no jobs. There are people who say we're creating jobs. There are people who all these other things. But one factor, if you go to a kid right now, a college kid, and ask them, are there jobs? They'll be like, there are jobs if you know this person or that people. So that is social capital. They feel like they don't know the people. So job opportunities, jobs are given, getting access to a job. Normally you need to know someone, because if you just send a CV or nothing happens. So how do you create that? Sometimes you create it, like if you're in college today, you want to start by reaching out to people in business industry, in whatever industry you like, and volunteer there. I have friends in Germany who, when they were 8 years old, they started knocking gates of these small companies. Okay, in Germany they call them small. They knock the gates. So at 3 they get out of school and they go to this company and they start cleaning out whatever it is. And by the time they're in high school, they're literally on the floor plant doing something. And again, that is kind of social capital. It's building your social capital in that way. Another way for building social capital is like emotional support, where you have very strong networks. Like, for example, when you have difficult times, or you're having an event, you have a family event that you have people to come for. If you've built your social capital, people will come willingly. If you're going through a tough time, people will surround you and help in the way they can. Again, in business leadership, in corporations, in companies, in the things that you're pursuing in your career, in whatever it is that you're pursuing, a vision, dreams, ambition, goals, whatever it is you want to call them, in those two, if you have people who believe in what you're doing, again, they would come willingly. They'll give you free advice. They sit on your board. They say, there'll be a mentor. And sometimes mentors are really exciting. You didn't choose them to be mentors. You wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to do this. And they go like, yeah, give me a report every 2 weeks. We're going to be sitting here. We're going to have coffee. And you're going to tell me how it's working out. And then they'll tell you to your face, the thing you're doing here, that will never work in that way. And then if they're wrong, they say, I didn't look at these other two factors. They were not wrong. They just didn't have the data. And this is something that I really, really want to emphasize. It might not look like social capital in the traditional sense of the word, but you find sometimes when you're part of a corporation and you're middle of management or whatever, or even you're in the C-suite, sometimes you don't have all the information. You don't know what they're acquiring. You don't know what product they're developing. You don't know. So you don't have the bigger picture. Where the CEO, the chairs have the bigger picture, they can see all the moving parts. And sometimes when you're in a department, you're only allowed to see the part that you are, because again, there's a lot of intellectual property, there's a lot of competition, and you want to get to market before anybody else gets to market with the stuff, and you want to have the best product that can pivot to the company to profitability, those kind of things. So sometimes you don't see the bigger picture. You don't have the bigger picture. So it's insane that, it is what it is. And when you do that, when you sit on a board and your ideas is shut down, sometimes you need to look out and say, okay, why was it shut down? And sometimes you'll find it doesn't fit, it's perfect, but the timing is wrong, or it doesn't fit into the strategy that they're having right now, or you have a new CEO or CFO, and they want to divert the projects into other things. One of the things that you'll find, if you've had a leader, a business leader, a captain of industry, or either female or male, whatever it is, and you've worked with them for a long time, you get social capital. You can just walk into the office and go like, you have 5 minutes, do you have a minute? Or you can be doing the morning walk together. You can have this thing, you can have lunch together, whatever it is, and in those places you're pitching ideas. Then when you have somebody else new comes to the organization now, you don't have that anymore. There's the formality, and the formality breaks down some of that social capital that you had. So now you need to rebuild that, and that's why it's good to not be partisan. It's good to be loyal, but loyal to the cause, not loyal to people per se. Now, don't be disloyal. There's a difference. Being loyal to the cause means that if somebody is thinking about this idea, they come to you and they know you're going to be good for it, regardless of who's the leader of the organization, even if you're the leader. If you're leading your own corporation and people know that when they come to you, you will listen to them and you'll give them constructive criticism, you'll give them constructive input instead of shutting people down, then they always come to you. That is social capital, and it's really, really important in business. In business, and in business, the first thing you want to do is build your professional networks with suppliers, with your friends, with friends of friends, and most importantly, bring new people. Most businesses fail because they're thinking the same. Everybody's thinking the same Ivy League school way. They want, the schools they went, the people they met, But when you bring a diverse group of people, then you start looking at stuff slightly differently, slightly excitingly, because now everybody brings. You'll be surprised what you can learn from. Today I can't talk for some reason. You'll be surprised what you can learn from a 3-year-old, and you'll be surprised what you can learn from a 70-year-old, or a kid in college, or a seasoned leader, captain of industry, whatever it is. You'll be surprised what you will learn from somebody you think is your enemy. Just sitting down with them and just understanding how they think. And studying that. And I remember when I was a kid, 13 years old, I used to have these meetings in boardrooms with 20, sometimes 12 people in the boardroom. And these are eminent lawyers and accountants and, CEOs and whatever it is. And I'm pitching this idea. I'm a small little kid. In fact, sometimes I was so small that I needed a pillow on the seat so that I can sit up on the table, the table level, that kind of thing. And I'm a shy kid, but when I sit on the boardroom, I have this one goal. I used to call it tunnel vision. I'm focusing on this thing I need to bring to life, and most of them will be very impressed by my idea. But I'd spend about 2-3 weeks. Sometimes if it was an emergency, I would spend 3 nights on and off just studying all and doing the negative response. I would play they call it the devil's advocate. If they say this, if they say that, what are the standards? And I would study from all these business publications, Forbes, Fortunes, Time Magazine, all these things, Business Week, all this magazine. Fortune used to write 20 pages, profiles of a company or individual, whatever it is, and I would study this meticulously. With a sharpie, marking all the major points, and then I'd compress them and I'd say, how do I bring this to the meeting? How do I bring this to this thing I'm going to? And then I never take a meeting which was just to discussing. It wasn't even about agendas. I'm coming, we're going to talk about this one thing, and we're going to have a solution to doing it. If we're not doing it, I'm not coming. And now you find, this is a small little kid, but one thing, the social capital I had was, these were new ideas, and I was so convicted on what I wanted to do. So they call me, and then normally they do references. Again, social capital, when you get into a room and you impress people, they're going to refer you to the next people. Again, you have to have integrity. You have to do what you say you're going to do, and you have to do it in the best way you can. And those are fantastic things that I learned as a kid, and even as I grow, I keep learning. And one thing, you have to keep learning. You have to find. I always say, find your three. Find your three. It doesn't matter which room you go to. You gotta find your three. If you join grade school or primary school, as we call it here, number one, you find your lifetime friend. You find somebody who's gonna fight in your corner, and you find an adversary. Somebody worth fighting, somebody that is so good at what they do, they inspire you to be better. Find your three. If you go to a conference, find your lifetime friend. Find the next business partner, the next business idea, the next whatever it is, and then find somebody who inspires you so much that when you sit down, you ask one question, your outlook is changed. There's a bit of noise at the moment, and I'm trying to filter it out as much as I can. But if it's passing out, it's coming out through the mic, I'm sorry, and I apologize. And more importantly, again, also, you have to find influential mentors. That plugs into the point I just said a minute ago. And being influential is not like the people who've changed the world. Sometimes you sit in a village or a city or wherever it is, and there's a guy who owns the shop at the corner, and this guy has tremendous amount of knowledge and wisdom. And we call it natural born, but it's trained. I think we're all born kind of the same, with exception obviously. But there are people who you sit down with and they just don't. I'd suggest, again, I'm not telling you what to do, but I suggest you should be around people who are not agreeable to everything that you do. And I'm going to be talking about family later, but in terms of professional life, in terms of family life, in terms of your life growth, and life work balance, I think you should not always be around people who are agreeable. People who are agreeable is the people you sit down and drink, your friends, your family. You sit down and have coffee or wine or whatever, or meal, whatever. But when you want critical thinking, you want people who will say, that's a good idea, but have you looked at this other angle too, or this angle or whatever? Or you're on a train. Why are you on a train when you can be making echo planes? And then it just throws a wrench in the thing, and you can think differently. It's never about bigger sometimes. Sometimes it's just about thinking differently. And then more importantly, also, if you're going to have mentors who are strong to give you advice, support, and guidance, it's also important that you guide other people. And how do you guide other people? By spreading the knowledge that you have. I remember I looked at my parents. My mom, you would learn something, and for me, it'd be like, okay, because I studied business school, you'd look at it and go like, oh, that's a great idea. The IP is this thing you've learned. Intellectual property is this thing you've learned. And my mom would give it for free. Would just teach it to anybody who would show up. And I get upset with her and ask her, and she says, iron sharpens iron. She gets better by sharing. And it's true. My mom was awesome, and so was my father. My father changed the world. And having parents like that embeds you, makes a foundation in a bedrock that's firm. And that's why I'm sharing this information with you. Some of my experiences, it's fundamental that you get mentors, but you also mentor other people. And your personal growth is the growth of other people too. If you keep it to yourself, again, it starts to shrink. You should have an open forum where people can come to you, even as a leader. Your door should be open. I remember as a kid, 17 years old, I would just walk into my editor's office and I was he'd look at me with those annoying eyes. But then when I leave it, how the person they're with, that kid is going somewhere with his ideas, I like talking to him because it challenges me. But for me, I was a kid. I was learning this stuff that you learn in business school, because these people had been to business school. They had done all these wonderful things, won awards for humanitarian projects that were doing amazing stuff. And I'd ask them, this is what I'm doing. And I'd be very open with them. This is what I'm doing this weekend. And they'd wonder how I do 5 or 6 different things, because I'd wake up at 4 a.m. and I would not go to sleep until midnight. But in between the times of the days, whatever it is, I would ask them, I'm doing this event, I'm doing a technology event, a conference, and I have a venue, I have this and this and this. How would you go around it? And they'd be like, hold on, and they pick a call and they call a radio station and go like, my kid, they call him my kid is doing this thing. Do you want to advertise? Do you want to be a partner? And I just got on a partner. It was fantastic. They call a shopping mall, and go like, give them a conference room. They call a hotel, that kind of thing. So building that social capital. But I was really, really intent on the things I wanted to do, number one. And I was really committed. But again, integrity. You have to be who you are. You have to be who you say you are. You have to be who you are. Let me say that again. You have to be who you are. You can't be double playing whatever it is. It has to be you and you and you. It's important. And more importantly, again, family life, you find that, I don't know if experience the love of parents. Again, I've spoken about my parents and parental support. Just having that, knowing that your parents are there, your guidance are there. Sometimes we don't have our parents here, but knowing that there's the sibling networks. Yeah, I always say, family, it might not always be blood, but since it's blood, you do not have to be agreeable. You do not have to be agreeable. You just have to love each other and you have to be family. Again, you can walk into a room and not be agreeable and agree to do what you do. Oh, shit. Okay, my neighbor is passing. So you don't have to be agreeable. You just have to agree that you're family and you have similar values. If a member of your family is in trouble, you run in there and put the fire out. You don't even have to talk. They just know that you're there for them. I think that's really, really important. Again, children change family. I don't know if you ever looked at kids and the grandparents. Grandchildren and grandparents, it's fantastic how that connection, how that works. You find the grandparents, even if they are not great parents, when they get to be grandparents, they change and become all these amazing parents. And if you've experienced a great childhood now, and then you look at your grandparents, it's amazing. Yeah, if you have a very challenging job and you have your siblings looking after your kids, that kind of thing, that's another thing. But more importantly, also, I remember when we were growing up, we had family friends. There were this family, and you would be asked to take their daughter, for a movie, date night, whatever it is, and they were like your sisters, they were your cousins. So when you're walking down, they go like, oh, that's my cousin so and so. Like, how are you related? No, our families are friends. So you see, that's a bond that lasts forever. Now let's look at the other side. What if you don't have any of this stuff? You don't have those networks, you don't have those relationships. You live in a place where you can't just walk across the road to talk to your neighbor or whatever. what do you do? So you find building social capital in that sense is finding people who value what you value, who have a similar interest, not what you agree with, because people you agree with becomes religious very quickly. If the only thing you have is your soccer team, or your sports team, or your religion, your politician, then it falls apart very quickly. It should be somebody you have interest with. This city, amazing city, and there's diverse population, diverse everything. I've been to bird watching, I've been to biking, and I don't even like biking that much, but it's so much fun when you're doing it. I've been whitewater rafting, I've been to the park, I've been a volunteer for some of these things. I've been the chair of wildlife situations and science innovation, and within those places, when you're genuine and have integrity, you will find your people. You will always find your people. Your people are not the people you agree with. You don't have to be agreeable. Yeah, I know it's getting annoying, it's getting loud, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But your people don't have to be agreeable. Find your people, and plug into your family. If you have kids, create play dates with people, of similar kids range, age groups, that kind of thing. If you have teenagers, create games and fun events that families can come around. So you as the parents are on the edges, protecting these kids as they have fun, and let them explore, teenage years and adulthood, young adulthood. If you are the kids have left, so nesting, again, find activities. It doesn't matter, it's not an age thing, it's an interest thing, and we will never run out of interests in this world. Again, social capital is just an aspect of our lives that's really, really important, and it helps us in seeking support, in developing professionally, in fostering strong relationships, and eventually, I think, just getting on a call and saying hello, and the other person is just happy, and they're telling their kids, I'm in the call with so-and-so, can you say hello? And they're passing the phone around. Yeah, getting to their home, and you brought them, whatever, that you make, and people, and you can, be happy around that. For me, that's really important. And social capital also will help you access resources, knowledge, understanding for your vision, for your mission, for your ambition, for your career, for your business, for whatever it is you're pursuing. I want to leave it at that until the next one. I hope this take is the good take. It might be noisy, but I hope you're good. Until the next one, my name is Daniel. Remember to try to be happy. Bye-bye.
5 Next Steps by award-winning Daniel Duwa, finishing school for business leaders, business heads, chairs, chief executive officers, CEOs, chief operating officers, CFOs, and high-level management. Daniel Duwa, an award-winning scaling expert, a global executive business leadership trainer helping individuals and corporations achieve clarity in uncertain times. Start your 5 next steps right now.